So I had all these big plans. I was gonna go to the smaller bins, which is kind of north from us. And we got up Thursday. That's today. Got up Saturday morning, fed the dogs, everything was normal, and Mac threw up. David said it looked like he threw up everything he'd eat for breakfast. So then David said he was trying to clean it up, and Mac kind of went around the other way and, ate some of it. And then Mac proceeds to go outside and throw up again. Mac has Addison's, which is like his adrenal gland doesn't work. He can't handle stress. So his protocol sometimes is different. You don't have as long amount of time for them to go without eating or drinking. And we haven't had any kind of these problems since we found out he had Addison's, which was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I called the vet because I was thinking we're going to close at midnight or close at noon. And she said, just come in and get some EIN food, give him a while. She said, but if he's, she says, Renee, if he doesn't look right, you take him to the emergency room. And she said, but if he doesn't eat or drink by 6 o'clock, that's enough right there that we know that he needs to go. But she goes, come and get this. If it's just he ate something that upset his stomach a little bit, or even if he ate too fast, he could have just thrown himself. Okay. Rip and I make this run. That's the picture of Rip. We run over there. And Rip's favorite person, one of Rip's favorite people, is Lizzie at the vet. He was so excited to see her. Just, ran up to her and gave her kisses. I just absolutely love Rock Road vets as much as I love our vet that we had in Indiana. So I came home. I had that food. He just didn't seem, like he was comfortable. And so, of course, I knew if you throw up, and the vet's office had said, you throw up and everything hurts. Okay. He drank a little bit of water, which I thought was a good sign. And then he just got to the point that he couldn't settle. He was pacing around, and he would sit down, and then he would, I don't know how to explain the noise. I don't want to try and make it, but this, kind of, I don't feel good noise. And a little bit after 3, he started crying. And it was that high-pitched whine that just brings me up out of my seat. And I'm like, there's too much going on. Too much going on. So 4 o'clock, we were at the emergency room for him, and they were so busy. I'd never seen them so busy. We waited until 6 to be able to get into a room. We waited another hour to be able to see the doctor. It was almost another 2 hours before they came in to take him to do tests. We're all thinking in our head, this is an Addisonian crisis. He just needs fluids. They took him back and did blood work. Yes, he was in Addisonian crisis, and it showed an obstruction. Which they said, we really think we should keep him. And I said, well, what about some subcutaneous fluids? She said we could do that, but that is a finite amount of fluid, and it may not be enough that he needs, but we can definitely do that. If he gets worse, you can bring him back in. And something in me just said, if she's recommending that he stays, and if he's in a crisis, he's going to need to be here because they will know how much medicine to give him. And if we go home and I go to sleep and he's someplace else in the house, like if he was sick enough that he couldn't get up the steps, I'm not going to know. And I said, okay, you can keep him. I said, we'll leave him overnight. They called me the next morning, said they had taken another x-ray. The obstruction had not moved. And they were saying that, and we're going to have to do surgery sometime today. I said, okay. And within 5 minutes after he got off the phone, she called me back. And she said, we have a new development. He is throwing up blood. We are headed to the OR ASAP. Of course, they wanted me to pay some more money. I never had a dog that cost this much money. Got that taken care of. Signed for them to do the surgery. They called and said that the surgery was, pretty textbook. That it looked like, she said she could tell that it was hair, but there were hard pieces of plastic in there. And I'm like, we're so careful about what he eats, because I guess he's had a really bad stomach acid reflux, and it's ruined his teeth. He only has 4. And he can't have anything. He can't have like a milk bone. It just doesn't get out of his stomach. He just falls over like he's gonna die. So we're like racking our brain. I'm drilling David. Did you feed him anything? Did he have anything? Whatever he found by himself, probably in the middle of the night, that night or the night before. We're never going to know what. That was Sunday afternoon, about 2 was when they called and said he was out of surgery. It would be a few hours. At 9:00 Sunday night, she called and she said, Max having some bruising that's not normal with surgery. She said, and I have a test that I can run, but it's going to take an hour. She says, I'm concerned that if he cannot clot, that there's going to be problems. And I'm one of those kind of people, just be straight with me, I said, are you saying he may not make it? And she said, yes. I said, okay, I'm on my way. Called David, told him. He left work. He goes, I'll come pick you. I said, no, I'm closer. I'm closer. I'm just going. So we met, and they were waiting for the test to get done before we went back. And you'll see in the video, his whole belly is just bruised. But when we saw him Sunday night, it was, maybe about as much of a bruise, and a little bruise over here and a little bruise over there. And she was concerned that all of the stress had put him into a Addisonian crisis. They were going to go ahead and give him his DOCP shot, which it helps him handle stress. Of course, he had his prednisone Sunday morning, but he threw it all up. So he'd gone all day and been sick, and literally been like kind of in this, I would call it a half panic state. Like, I can't settle, something's not right, I don't feel good, things hurt, kind of situation. And I don't want to back up in the story, but the test showed that his clotting was normal. So she's like, I don't understand why he has this, but he's here. She says it's still touch and go. She said he's just got a lot going on, and we will keep you updated. She says if anything changes, we'll call you. So I did not go to work on Monday. I think I got home like at midnight, Sunday night. Monday morning they called and said he's the same. And when we went in and saw him, you'll see the pictures of him. He's just laying there. He can barely even lift his head up off of the mat or the dog bed. And he just looks so sad. So I was home Monday. We went back to see him. I went back to see him Monday night. They put me in a room to see him, and I was like, we've like made great big huge steps. And then she came down. She goes, I don't know why I said to put you in a room. She said he's still on fentanyl. So I went back, and he was still in ICU and still in the cage and still just kind of lethargic, and laid his head down. And I was like, what are we looking at? She goes, it's still touch and go. She said it could be 3 to 5 days that we've got, that anything could happen. She said we are concerned about the bleeding. The test came back positive. We'll retest it again. There's a lot of stuff that they tested him for that then they had to test again. They had to check. He was also in a pancreatitis attack. So his pancreas was swollen, then his liver was having problems. Seems like there was something else. So there was just a lot going on. He was a sick little baby. Tuesday, we went, and they did put me in a room, and the doctor said Tuesday morning we're going to start reducing his pain medicine. We're going to reduce the amount of injectable pain medicine and start him on some oral pain medicine. Like, he hasn't had anything in his stomach. They had a little tube down his throat to make sure all the bile came out, and they had to do that before the surgery because he had thrown up blood. They had to get all the blood out of there. And he said, we'll take it slow. We're going to start giving him 25% of his daily calorie intake through the feeding tube in his nose. We'll start, we'd already offered him boiled chicken and rice, and they offered him a soft dog food, and he was like, no way. Then I did get to see him in a room last night, which would be Tuesday night. It's been a long month in this 4 or 5 days. And they brought him in on a 2-wheeled cart, or a 2-shelf cart with wheels. I've seen him in hospitals and at restaurants, but you guys get the idea. And when they came in the room and saw me, he was like trying to get off the cart to get to me, and they gave him to me, and he just tucked his head in, and I just kind of wrapped my arms around him. And I sat down on the floor with him, and he actually got up and walked. And I was like, you'll hear my reaction in the video. It's like, oh my gosh, he's gonna walk, because he hadn't been. His tech said that they literally had been going by every hour and turning him over, so he wasn't always laying on one side or the other. And his incision is actually from his ribs all the way down, almost all the way down. And she goes, oh my gosh, he walked for you? I said, yeah. then he started doing the pacing and the panting and the not being able to settle and being upset. And I didn't know if it's because we were in the room and that's where we had been before this started. And he doesn't like being at the vet's and being in one of those little rooms, or if it was that he was actually in pain, that it was just too much for him to be out and walking. And she said, well, it's good for him to do that, and we'll watch if he continues to pant and have these problems. He's on pain medicine. We'll do what we have to make him comfortable. And they called this morning, Wednesday morning, and said all of his numbers are good. His liver numbers aren't great, but they haven't gotten worse. And we've noticed that he doesn't eat here. So we think that he's one of those clients that just doesn't want to eat when they're in the hospital. So they sent him home. You see it at the end too. I was just like, and he's right here with me. We haven't been much farther. We haven't been much farther away, have we? We haven't been much farther away from each other. I know you need a CP baby. Yeah. I have taken the steps away from the bed upstairs because he can't do steps for 2 weeks. I think maybe, the first 4 days are going to be kind of easy, but next week might be kind of difficult. But no steps, no running, no rambunctious play. Of course, right now he really doesn't care. Yeah, he's really doesn't care. So I put we have kennel upstairs. I brought it down here to put in the kitchen, which we could leave him in if we had to leave. Like David and I both have things going on tomorrow. I'll be gone for a few hours. We'll be gone for a few hours at the same time. I can put him in the kennel, and I put him down here because we have air conditioning down here. And whoever the lady was that flipped this house didn't put in the right kind of air conditioner. So there's no air upstairs. But he can come upstairs and I can put the gate up at the top, and he has a little ramp. Took the steps down. He has a little ramp he can get up on the bed. The only thing that worries me right now is that he would be on the bed with me in the middle of the night and he would jump off. So he may have to sleep down here in the cage. I don't know. I may go get the mattress out of the basement and just sleep down here with him. And just go upstairs when I need to. But I haven't made that decision yet. So there's the first little video, or the first couple little pictures is before he got sick. And then Rip went with me to the vet to get the EIN food. He could possibly be on a special diet and a low-fat EIN food for the rest of his life. They have almost tripled the amount of prednisone he's going to have. He's on 2 different painkillers, an antibiotic, and then he also has an anti-nausea medicine. So I'm setting alarms on my phone to make sure he gets his meds on time. We came home and he did eat a little bit. He doesn't like the food. We used to mash it and put water in it. He doesn't like it with water in it. He just wants it mashed up. And he eats a tablespoon at a time, which that's better than not eating at all. I'm going to have to go find I have special doggy chicken broth in the freezer that has no onions or onions of any type in it, and maybe make him some chicken rice. No, he doesn't care. But and there are lots of times I've looked at what I have for pictures and videos. I'm like, man, I should have taken more. But then I thought I was a little busy. So that is why this is the Kansas City Mac episode. This is why we don't have a thrift life video, but we'll have one next week. Let me know if you are more interested in a video on seeing our pantry, or as my friend calls it, the Armageddon wardrobe, or if you would be interested in seeing easy snacks to make at home. I also thought about there are ways that you can save gasoline, because oh my lord, it's gone up like $1 a gallon here. So enjoy the video. This is where we are. And thank you for all your good thoughts, good vibes, and prayers, because my baby's home. We appreciate y'all for coming along. Thank you. We're here again to see Mac, and they put me in a room again. So let's see if we stay in the room. Maybe he gets to, man, my hair's a mess. We'll see if he gets to come to the room, or if I have to go back there with him. We are actually in a room today. He's got his bright eyes back. Yeah, I know. Did it hurt? I know. You did well. Yeah, you did so well. They've started to feed him a little bit. They said 25% of his calorie intake, and his tummy has handled that. So that is a good sign. And he's off of, or they've reduced his pain medicine. Look at that poor bruise. Oh my gosh, you've just been through it, haven't you? Yeah. But he got up and he walked a little bit. He realized it was me. He tried to jump off the cart when they brought him in. Yeah, I know. I know, baby. We've had a rough time. I know. So him and I are gonna spend some time together and snuggle. When he first put him, they came in and gave him to me. He tucked his head right underneath my arm like he always does, and I just held him around the chest. That's our little thing. He hides, and I hold him and give him some compression therapy. So we're gonna spend some time together. And look at this. He's gonna walk for you. Hey, bud, you can't go too far. Oh my gosh, that was fantastic. Oh, he got up and walked around. He tried to jump off the cart when he first came in the room. He's still a little woozy. He's still on some pain medicine, but not injectable pain medicine. They've started him on 25% of his calories through his feeding tube. But to get to see him in a room and not have to go back to ICU, I'm so happy. The next couple milestones is for him to eat, and then to be able to go outside and at least go pee. I don't know if they're going to require both, since he did have surgery on his intestines. And I looked him dead in the eye and I said, "What did you eat?" Of course, he didn't answer me. But I am going home a happy lady. He's still not well, can't come home yet. But whew, this is And this is a big, big, big steps in the right direction. Where do Dad's wagon? Baby, you gotta eat. If I feed you little pieces. See, look, you like it. That's what's in here. Oh, yay. Yum. No? Oh, baby, you have to eat. Because he had such an extended stay in ICU, and because he had so many complications, so the Addisonian crisis and the obstruction were at the same time. They think maybe that the obstruction caused the Addisonian crisis. The Addisonian crisis then causes liver problems. He also went into a pancreatitis. His pancreas was having problems. Could have also been caused by the obstruction and the stress. Then they thought his blood wasn't clotting. They did several tests for that. Like I said, the clotting. And then there was something about, there's another part of your blood that he didn't have enough platelets to make a cover on the clot. And yeah, the list just goes on and on. So it is a huge vet bill. And we do have a GoFundMe page for him. Any help would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you all. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following along. And Max says thank you. Thank you for all the encouraging words. And everybody that's sent prayers and good thoughts, good vibes. Yeah, he's home and he's going to rest, and I'm going to rest. Well, till tomorrow. And as Manda would say, remember you are the magic. And as I always say, remember you're blessed to be a blessing. Hope you all go out